16th Brics Summit in Russia that is going to take place. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has departed for Kazan, Russia to attend the 16th Brics Summit. This will be the first summit of the group following its expansion last year. The grouping, comprising of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, which was added in 2010, has expanded to include Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia and the United Arab Emirates. The Prime Minister is set to engage in a series of bilateral meetings, including with Russian President Putin and most likely also with Xi Jinping on the margins of the BRICS. So we'll be taking a look at what exactly are the bilateral meetings that are going to take place. What is the schedule of Prime Minister Modi when it comes to that? So we're going to be taking a look at that. Of what exactly is planned for the Prime Minister Modi's schedule to Russia. What we're expected, the schedule is that he'll attend the Brics Summit in Kazan. So he is left and departed for Kazan in Russia to attend the 16th Brics Summit. And this is the second visit to Russia that will be taking place. The last visit was in this year only in July, and now we are seeing that Prime Minister Modi's visit to Russia also means that it is expected that leaders are expected to adopt the Kazan Declaration, which is under negotiations in Kazan right now. And there is also in the expected schedule, there is also that he'll hold bilateral talks with BRICS leaders. And when it comes to his visit, the expected schedule, he's also expected to meet Putin and discuss the Ukraine conflict. So that can also be on the agenda during his visit. He's also set to enhance cultural ties and people-to-people exchanges. He's likely to address the Indian diaspora. So that is according to the expected schedule, that is according to the schedule that we are expecting, that Prime Minister Modi is set to he has departed for Kazan in Russia to attend the 16th Brics Summit. And Mehndi Garg, my colleague, has joined us on the telecast. Mehndi, what can you share details regarding the bilateral? What are there's also this that is it expected that Xi Jinping was also likely to hold bilateral. So what are the details when are coming in terms of bilateral meetings that are going to take place in Kazan, Russia during the Brics Summit?
Well, real Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a two-day visit to Russia where he'll be attending the BRICS Summit, and there is a possibility of having the bilateral meetings with the leaders from BRICS nations, including Russia, China, Brazil, and also South Africa. And as you also talked about, that he might have a bilateral meet with the Chinese President Xi Jinping also. But it is very important to note, Shreya, as of now, because there is no official confirmation that has been made, but there is a speculation that this meeting will happen, this bilateral meeting rather will happen on the sidelines of the summit. And also talking about what is on India's agenda right now, then India aims to build on the target of $100 billion bilateral trade with Russia by 2030, which was set when PM visited country last time in July. And also, a key meeting in November will set new sectoral trade targets led by the External Affairs Minister and also the Russia's Deputy PM. And also not only that, the Ukraine conflict will also be a topic of discussion between India and Russia in these bilateral meets. So when Vladimir Putin and also the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, will sit together and have the bilateral meets, then the Ukraine conflict will also be discussed. So, various leaders will be going there, and the bilateral meetings between all the nations will be happening. And also in between of that, talking about what other expectations are there, then Prime Minister Modi is also expected to hold bilateral talks with the Turkey's Recep Tayyip Erdogan and also Iran's Masoud Pezeshkian. So these are the latest that we are tracking right now. Yes, we are.
All right. Mehndi, also when it comes to, as we've talked about, that he'll be holding bilaterals with Putin, and this will be the second visit. So it's likely that there will be a discussion on Ukraine. What can you share the details regarding that?
Well, Yes, yeah, according to the sources as of now, only the thing that's in the bilateral meeting, the Ukraine conflict will be discussed is mentioned, but what discussions particularly will happen, these informations will come out after the bilateral meet will happen between the two world leaders, because this is a very important bilateral meeting, because Russia and Ukraine is under war still now, and India is having a very diplomatic stand in between.
All right, Mehndi, we also have with us Ambassador Suresh Goyal, former diplomat, joining us on the telecast. Ambassador Suresh Goyal, this is 16th Brics Summit. It's highly anticipation and all eyes are on the meeting of, if there is a possibility of the meeting of Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and this also comes after the that there's also the development that took place yesterday was the border related issues, would they be discussed and all. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, let's look at it this way. India and China, largest neighboring countries, will have to start discussing their bilateral relations in terms of both economic and the political strategic dimensions. And so far, the border issue will continue to remain there, of course, but the issue of line of control, the patrolling along as we were doing till 2020, China deviating from all previous understandings and agreements, they were coming in the way of establishing the trust and confidence agreement. Now that this agreement or this understanding has been reached again, I would think that it is quite likely that there would be a meeting between Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi to review the status of the bilateral relations and to see how we can progress it further. What the outcome is going to be, very difficult to say really. There have been so many jerks and so many ifs and buts. I don't think that anybody would venture to suggest any kind of outcome after the meeting. But the meeting is very likely, yes. To my mind, this is my assessment. Yes,
all right, yes. Ambassador Suresh Goyal, there's, when you're talking about that India also had regional agreement when it comes with China on patrolling along the line of actual control. But coming to Russia, there's Prime Minister Modi is also said to hold bilateral meetings with Russian President Putin, and there's it's likely there'll be a discussion on the Ukraine conflict, Ukraine-Russia conflict. How do you assess that situation?
I do not think that in the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Putin, I do not anticipate a great change from what was discussed earlier. There would be a discussion definitely. Ukraine is an important issue for international stability, peace and regional security. It's an important issue and there will be a discussion. But considering the fact that not much has changed on the ground in terms of the security perception of either the protagonist or in terms of what the strategic planning of the Western world is, I do not really think that time has come for any great change on the ground or progress in discussions between the main partners. Lastly, it is a European problem. Ukraine is a European problem, and I think it is for Europe to resolve the problem through discussions.
All right. We also have with us Professor Madhav Nalapat. He's the editorial director of TSG. Professor Madhav Nalapat, this meeting, the Brics Summit, which begins today, it's the first since grouping's expansion from January. So, what is the expectations when it comes to the agenda that could be that Prime Minister Modi would be holding bilateral meetings with various counterparts? So, what can be expected out of this 16th Brics Summit?
Well, I think we can expect two things. One, that he will try and put the focus on the global south, because the PM is very committed to the global south. And it is because of that commitment that the African Union was admitted to the G20. So now it's G21. And the second point is he will make sure that Indian security interests are not in any way damaged. For example, let's say that, some countries which are hostile to Indian security interests, if there are some additional countries, I think the Prime Minister would not be very happy with that. So I think two things are there. One is the Indian national interest, and secondly, promoting the collective interest of the global South. I think this will be the main focus of Prime Minister Modi's visit to attend the Brics Summit.
When it comes to Professor Madhav Nalapat, when it comes to Prime Minister Modi holding bilateral talks with bilateral meetings with various counterparts, the big anticipation is that all eyes are on the fact that will Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi have the bilateral meeting, and what could be expected out of that? That there's all eyes are on that.
Well, I'd like to say that there may or may not be a bilateral meeting, but in any case, if there's a bilateral meeting, then I mean, there's no harm in that, for a simple reason that the Prime Minister, when he goes to the Brics Summit, he will not indulge in exclusion or whatever it is. So if there is a bilateral meeting, it will take place. But even if there is or there is not, that's not the point. The point is that overall, to all the Brics members, he is going to raise the issues of the global South, and he's going to raise the issues of terrorism, security, etc. And very importantly, how collectively this entire group, which is now being greatly expanded, can function in a way that promotes economic development and social justice.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on the telecast, Professor Madhav Nalapat and Ambassador Suresh Goyal. Moving on, an area around CRP